Alrighty, folks. Second race here in the doubleheader tonight for the Sigma Racing Series of action. And tonight it is Bridge to Cup from Lakewood. And brand new entry here in Bridge to Cup action. It's Cooper Dwight on the front row alongside Anheuser-Wagner. You've got Scott Speed and Rich Roy. Atlee Weiss still in need of a win to make it into the championship battle alongside Dave Steele Jr., Jack Davis and Adam Starr, Kyle Ottawa and Luis Rodriguez, John Hagan and Ryan Little, Cannon Gage and Chasey Plays, Gannon Bird and Kyler Sustre, Bradley Ream and AJ Kosnoff, Kevin Xavier and Alan Malcolm, Braden Hunt and Asiel Escobar, Krista Cower and Spinham Walker, Nadak Hagum and Lucas Holmes, Andrew Moger and Kat Durham, Roach, Jamie Horseman, Paula Dino and Noah Hobson with David Bird at the back of the field here. So 100 laps on this 1 mile track.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Might need some glasses or goggles to keep the sand out of your eyes here today. This is a first for this Bridge to Cup series, as we've never ran this track with this car. So it's going to be interesting to see what the dirt tracking looks like with the Bridge to Cup action. We've seen trucks race here. They race pretty clean. They race pretty orderly. So we'll see how these big honkin' stock cars fare here tonight. Green flag waves, and we're off and roaring here at Lakewood. We'll see if anyone does happen to take a swim here tonight. Cooper Dwight with the early lead here in that Mazda. Then you've got a pair of BMWs on that inside line, as you've got Scott Speed and Atlee Weiss on the inside. We're going to have to keep our eyes on the rest of the field. I'll have to wave a yellow if we have, as I still haven't turned yellows back on with the road courses that we've been running. Besides, we want to catch it. If someone does happen to go for a dip here, we don't want to miss that. Ooh, wow, there's some chaos there. Are they going to get it sorted? Ooh, they're wrecking at the back half of the field. Kevin Xavier, Andrew Moger. As long as the track clears itself up, we'll keep rolling. Roach now at the back of the field here. That's going to create lap traffic for these leaders a lot quicker than anticipated. Youch, Kevin Xavier getting cut off here. He's running right at the bottom of the berm. He's going to have to come down pit road to get some damage repaired, as a few others as well. So a little bit of drama at the back half of the field, but we continue going forward at the front. Unfortunately, not looking like a good start of the day for some of these drivers, as they're now going to have to rely on cautions to get back into this one. Dave Steele Jr. has been your most dominant driver so far this season, and currently up into the top 5, looking a lot like the same guy that we've seen all season so far. It's impressive from Anheuser-Walkner to see him running in second here tonight. Well, so far, the lead has been held by none other than newcomer Cooper Dwight. New to you, new to everyone, this 41 car of Cooper Dwight out front leading in his series debut. It's hard to put that into perspective when everyone in the ladder system here has worked their way up here. Same thing applies to this 41 team. If they can win and get up into the top 30 in points, as it stands, a win, actually top 25 in points, let's say, because there's only about 34 in the point standings for this Bridge to Cup series. 25 would be a little bit more fair, especially, I'm pretty sure I've wrote it in text, so I just have to look back what I've said on the server, because I think I even said Atlee had to get to a certain status in the point standings to be eligible after a win. This 41 team will fall in the same category as Atlee Weiss with a win and in a certain standing in the points. But it's crazy. First ever race, and they found the setup for that number 41 car. He is out there roaring away from the rest of the field. 4-second lead, which could get erased. You never know. A lot of racing to be had here tonight. Still 60, 79 laps to go. Impressively, though, in second, it's Anheuser-Wagner, which, if we go back and look at the point standings for this Bridge to Cup Championship, Anheuser-Wagner in that 65 currently sits 11th in the points. So we obviously need to be 16 in the top 16 to qualify for the bracket, the Bridge to Cup bracket. And 11th, good enough for that. Rich Roy sits in 7th. Scott Speed sits in 9th. So a lot of these guys just putting on solid performances. Obviously, Dave Steele Jr., your points leader. He has a 102-point lead over Bradley Ream in second. This 35 car definitely looking like the odds-on favorite to win it all. It really starts to raise the question as to where and what's going to happen next year. Trackhouse B obviously repping the Subaru team here in Bridge to Cup, as there was no Chevy available to be had. So many questions during the off season, maybe even the silly season right now, are waiting to be answered. But Dave Steele Jr. definitely, if like everyone else that wins this Bridge to Cup championship, will be guaranteed a qualification up into Cup. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. There's still 12 races remaining in this Bridge to Cup championship. We definitely did get past the halfway point, as this is race number 18 here tonight, and only 12 races to go after this. So getting down to crunch time for some of these guys, especially the likes of Atlee Weiss, who needs to get that win to qualify for the bracket. This just gives us a curveball that no one anticipated. The 41 Cooper Dwight in his series debut. Not very often that you see someone in their series debut up front leading, especially dominating like this, putting on a 5-6 second lead almost on the rest of the field. We've been a little bit looser with the roster here in Bridge to Cup as of late, allowing Ace Blake and Wyatt Wilkinson to make some starts. Cooper Dwight here, the only way he was going to race was if it was in a Bridge to Cup car. And as of right now, looking like there was possibly a reason behind that. As you can see, he's got something figured out with that number 41 Mazda. Lap 29 in the books here. And honestly, at 100 laps in length, I don't know if we're going to see any pit stops. Let's actually take a glance at the garage here in game. They're saying lap distance is 98 laps. So that could be hairy. We might see people pitting with 5 laps to go. This really might just turn into a race to the pit stop at the end and figure out how to get out of those pits as quickly as possible. But the deal is the 41 is putting up such a lead here, and maybe this is by plan to put up such a big deficit over second place so that when he pits for gas, he's going to be able to rejoin the track and not lose as much time. Some of these guys in second, third, fourth, and fifth on back, they might actually be saving fuel here. They might be running half throttle just so that they don't have to make a pit stop. So that really does start to make things look interesting. So this race definitely is going to take the entirety to figure out who's got what it takes. Early race assessment here, I think the 41 of Cooper Dwight might be burning a little bit too much gas racing as fast as he is out front here. So that 41 definitely pushing it to where he's going to have to pit at least once in this race. We've established this new normal without pits, without cautions to allow for pit strategy to actually unfold during a race here, and it makes things interesting. I must say, we all know that if there is no caution, you just got to race and take what's given to you here. Ooh, Atlee trying to mix it up here with Dave Steele Jr. Rich Roy getting a little bit out of sorts here in third place, as Scott Speed looking to make a move on that 29 car. We'll keep our sights on this battle here between the 95 and the 29. Lap traffic starting to get into the mix, as that is the 10 of Kevin Xavier struggling a little bit after sustaining some damage in the past couple laps. Wow. Cooper Dwight up to a full 8-second lead. This has officially gotten out of hand for the rest of the field. 8 seconds is the advantage from Cooper Dwight to just second place there of Anheuser-Wagner. That's very, very intriguing. The Mazdas, both of them running 1-2 right now, seem to have the dirt track set up here today. Not very often that we see Mazdas at the forefront winning races like this. It's often been Subaru as of late. Oh, Dave Steele Jr. struggling a little bit. Where did Dave Steele... What happened to the 35 of Dave Steele Jr.? He's making a pit stop. Is it... Ooh, engine damage. That didn't happen very often for your points leader. Had a slight mechanical blubber here. As you see, 38% damage to the engine. He just pulls off and has to go down pit road to get it serviced. They're still looking at it. They don't have the digital hood up on our display there, but definitely they're digging around under the hood to figure out what's wrong with that 35 car. Tough break for that team. Not a big break, as they still have a 100-point lead over second place. So this kind of acts as a mulligan here tonight. He definitely has a big enough gap that it's not going to be much of a game changer at all. So now sights are set on the BMW camp here of Scott Speed and Atlee Weiss, as they need to start looking towards beating the Mazda camp of Cooper Dwight and Anheuser-Wagner. Seems like now we might need a little bit of backstory on this Cooper Dwight fella, as out of nowhere shows up and comes into the series, and I can guarantee you that there's nothing out of the ordinary with the settings on this car. There's no foul play, there's no favoritism. This is simply one of those NR2003 moments that I just cannot describe. Me and my family have noticed before that often when you put a new driver on the circuit, and for one, the game should not know if there's a new driver. It doesn't have enough intelligence to say, hey, you know, this is a new driver. They're going to do good out of the gates. We've seen it. Me and my dad have made claims that whenever you put a new car onto a roster, they always perform super well out of the gate. Doesn't matter. If you have a roster and you add some new drivers to it from, you know, last year to the next year, it's often those new drivers that you added to the new roster upon the existing roster that always seem to shine a little bit brighter. It's a phenomena that I've noticed, and I don't have any other way to explain it than pure random RNG factor here. Crazy. We've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in periodical fashion from year to year. I might add a new driver to the roster, and they'll usually get a win out of the gate, their first ever race. Scott Speed's a great example of that. At the end of 2016, Scott Dixon was not in the roster, but the start of 2017, Scott Dixon ended up winning the first 2 races of the season in our Sylvania Cup Series, and pretty much was lights out after that. I've seen it with Dale Jr. I put Dale Jr. in my series, and he got 2 wins out of the gate in his very first 2 starts, and continued to rack up more and more wins as the season progressed. So, yeah, nope, that's just maybe it's not everyone's NR2003 experience, but it has definitely been my NR2003 experience, and let me tell you, it is impressive. So we're just a couple laps shy of halfway here tonight, and this race gunning to be right at about an hour, just like our last race was. Our leader, Cooper Dwight, now fighting with lap traffic here. He could start to see some momentum get lost to that second place driver as he turned a 34.199. 65 of Anheuser-Wagner just turned a 33.995. They start to work their way around the lap traffic here of Cat Durham. Then you've got the teammates of Scott Speed and Atlee Weiss right there behind them, looking to try and get around the lap traffic with ease here. And it was a camshaft failure for Dave Steele Jr. So not a very typical end of the day for your current points leader, as he has to go home with a dead last finish here tonight at Lakewood. Still halfway through the race, and we have not seen anyone take a swim yet. Still 8.5 second lead here for Cooper Dwight over Anheuser-Wagner and Rich Roy. Atlee Weiss now gets by. Seems like some folks making their pit stops early. I don't know if mechanical failures are kicking in or they're just trying to get off strategy to try and pull a win out of their sleeves here. Yep, more takers down pit road, so all these drivers wanting to get their gas and get them quickly. Even our leader, Cooper Dwight coming down pit road here on lap 54. So this got to be one of those deals where they knew they couldn't make to the finish. They need to make at least one pit stop here. And once other drivers started pitting, that kind of forced their hand come down pit road before everyone else did. Damn, 41 just now leaving back off pit road, and the 65 still having to get left side tires put on. Everyone else roaring out now. Scott Speed's able to jump a couple spots here on the overcut method. Rather, he was on the undercut method and was able to beat those that took the overcut. So Scott Speed gains a couple spots. He's now your second place driver. Third place, Anheuser-Wagner. Fourth place, Jack Davis. Fifth, Rich Roy. Sixth, Adam Starr. Seventh, Luis Rodriguez. Ninth, eighth, Atlee Weiss. Ninth, John Hagan. And 10th, Ryan Little. The deficit still 8.5 second lead. The favor of Cooper Dwight. But Scott Speed was able to knock off about half a second there this last lap. We'll keep our eyes peeled on the overall deficit here. You can see it's an 8.02 coming across start finish line now. Scott Speed is gonna close the gap a little bit more. So now down to a 7.92 deficit. Seems like this 95 got some things tweaked on the setup, and they're running just a little bit harder here than the 41 for the time being. And just like that, Scott Speed turned his fastest lap, a 32-100. But so did Cooper Dwight, turned a 32.094. So just a hair faster than second place. Even fighting with lap traffic there, and Dwight was still able to turn a faster lap. 32.068. Fast lap yet again. And Scott Speed not turning nearly as fast laps there. He turned a 32.1. So with pit stops out of the way now, Cooper Dwight does not have a whole lot working against him at the moment. Everyone's going to be wanting to know what was the magic elixir here today for that 41 car to come out of the gate so strong in his series debut. Oh, we had another mechanical failure, a camshaft for the 8 of Osiel Escobar. Maybe we'll do a quick recap and see exactly what happened, if anything, to the 8 of Escobar. Oh, wow, okay, so that's what happened. The 12 of Kosnoff got spun and we missed that. He makes contact with the 4 of Braden Hunt, just overdrives it way into turn 3 there. Collects the 8 of Escobar, unfortunately. And the 12 has to get towed off the racetrack there, out of the race on lap 53. Man, Scott Speed's still keeping it interesting here as he gets it back down under 8 seconds, the deficit to the leader. But still, a lot has to go into getting anywhere near that 41 car right now. Well, and thanks everyone. I know it's super late on the East Coast. It's still only a little bit before 11 my time here. And yeah, with my kind of expedited schedule this week, had to change things up a little bit. I'm still hoping tomorrow to maybe get the cup race in for the Ohio event. I'm not sure when yet, but we will definitely know, if not within the 24 hours, maybe in the next 48 hours, on what we'll be doing for that cup event on the schedule. 34 laps remaining here in this race tonight. And it's been all Cooper Dwight at the front of the field. Newcomer to the series, we are expecting to see him in the Music Fest Grand Prix later in the year. That Music Fest Grand Prix, we're up to nearly 73 entries so far. So it is going to be single-handedly the largest Sigma event ever, as it's going to be broke down into a 2-day event featuring heats and LCQ on day number 1 on a Friday, and then day number 2 Saturday for the main event, as we will see all of those that work their way through the alphabet soup to make the main event. Definitely something to look forward to. If you are watching this and you haven't signed up for a cup entry, it's totally available for everyone. We want to try to get every single person on the server signed up for that Music Fest Grand Prix. I'm throwing all restrictions out the door. You don't have to be a Bridge to Cup racer to race in the cup for this very one event. Obviously, if you're not a cup regular, you're not going to be locked into the main event. That, of course, you have to work your way up the heats and the LCQ to make the main event. And it's just going to be an all-out brawl Friday, Saturday in mid-October to figure out who's going to be the second ever winner of this special event. Last season it was called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This year it's going to be the Music Fest Grand Prix. So, music-inspired paint schemes on every single car. It's going to be a grand old time. Well, we're down to just 29 laps to go, and Cooper Dwight has a 9-second lead. I'm going to step away briefly here for another moment. So yeah, this is just one of those strange NR2003 moments that is unexplainable. Cooper Dwight in his series debut has led every lap up to this point. 77 laps down, 23 laps to go. And we could be looking at a brand new winner and could really give the bracket board head scratcher here as to what we're going to do about including this 41 team in the mix. Still 22 laps to go, and Scott Speed starting to close the gap ever so slightly. As long as the 41 does not make a mistake, it's looking like it's his race to lose at this point. Quite the peculiar outcome here tonight. Scott Speed is 7.87 seconds back as this lap cycles through. He is 8.10 seconds, so that gap is not shrinking all that much. We are down to just 19 laps remaining here tonight at Lakewood. And it's odd that we've seen two races now with just a dominant outcome from two different drivers. Chaz Chadwick totally laid it out there on the line in mid-Ohio to get his third Western Division win, or rather Eastern, my bad, his third win in the East Division this season. And the great unknown was what this new gentleman could do in our series, and Cooper Dwight really giving us some head-scratching moments here as to what have we done, where have we gone wrong, and getting, not getting him up the ladder. No, what? I mean, it makes sense why he didn't start in trucks, but where was this guy, and why hasn't he been running in our series a lot sooner? Right out of the gates, running this strong, that's a very impressive feat to pull off. And as for our Bridge to Cup championship, he's looking to be one of, if not the few, of the first drivers to ever come out in their first career start ever fighting for a win like this. Back down to only a 7-second lead over Scott Speed. Well, we've seen that teeter-totter back and forth to where he might have a 7-second lead, he might have an 8.5-second lead. So it's just a matter of time to see if that continues to shrink or not. Down to 6.7 seconds now is the deficit. A lot of it has to do with getting stuck behind this lap traffic here. Cooper Dwight just needs to continue running at his own pace and not make a mistake here. Man, if there was just about 10 more laps, this could get interesting. But we only have 13 laps remaining. The lead has now shrunk down to 6 seconds, as Scott Speed seems to have found a little bit of momentum in his favor here. Leads back down to a 5.8 seconds. .66. So I'm just gonna let the screen go away here, and we'll just watch this race the final 12 laps without any heads-up display bothering it. This could happen to get interesting, as lap traffic is just going to continue to hold up your leader. In the meantime, Scott Speed also dealing with lap traffic here as well. Here we go, Scott Speed making it around some more lap traffic here. As soon as he gets by a couple more of these cars, he'll have clean track in front of him to try and start seeking out the 41 for the overall lead here tonight. 6.2 seconds is the current deficit, but only 10 laps remaining. He's going to have to knock off nearly a second every lap if he wants even a shot at getting the win here today. Still going to be a valiant effort. That 95 was able to hopscotch a couple drivers on pit road to make up a couple spots in the battle here today. Without that, he would not have been second. Would have been more so about top 5, maybe even as worse as a top 10. Deficit still sitting at a 6.5 second gap between our two leaders. 6.27 now. Seven laps to go now, and Cooper Dwight has led every single lap here tonight. Six laps remaining, and 6 seconds is the deficit. As long as Cooper Dwight gets by this 90, it's going to be pretty much smooth sailing after that. Remaining already down to just 4 laps remaining here today at Lakewood. Cooper Dwight looking to do the unexpected here and lead every single lap. Did have another mechanical failure. The 11 car of Spin'em Walker had a piston failure, which honestly could happen to anyone. It could even happen to your #1 driver out there on field. Hasn't happened, obviously, and luckily the commentator's curse hasn't kicked in and jinxed it. Scott Speed, yeah, it's going to be a tale of what if, only if there was another 50 laps or so. Could that 95 maybe have something for the leader? Of course, the 41 needs to avoid making any mistakes too. He still has 2 laps to finish this race and does not want to suffer a mechanical failure or a blown tire or a wheel failure, as it's going to be down to just 2 laps to go this time by. White flag is going to be in the air, waving for Cooper Dwight in just his first ever series start in this Bridge to Cup Racing Series. White flag waving, 1 lap to go, 1 more mile to get in the books here for the Take a Swim 100. Here comes Cooper Dwight around the back half of the track now. All he's got to do is make it around the front half, and he is home free at last with a win in just his first start. Cooper Dwight gets the job done here at Lakewood, securing a very dominant, overly domineering win here today at Lakewood. Coming home second, none other than Scott Speed. He was 6.15 seconds back. Anheuser Wagner in third, Jack Davis in fourth, Atlee Weiss in fifth, Rich Roy sixth. Then you had the 27 of Adam Starr, the 48 of Luis Rodriguez, the 21 of Ryan Little, and the 19 of Bradley Ream with a top 10 finish. "19 cars finished on the lead lap. 29 cars finished the race running under power. 4 retirements, most of which were mechanical failures. And a lot of those mechanical failures come because they're racing on the bumpy, harsh terrain of this dirt track. So 3 mechanical failures that were pretty much unavoidable for these guys racing in the rough conditions that they were. And that marks race number 18 of 30 in this Bridge to Cup Championship. Dave Steele Jr. is still going to lead with your overall points lead. And that makes a wrap for tonight, folks. It's a long one for me as well, a long one for mostly everyone else. And Cooper Dwight, brand new to the series, gets his first win ever with the Bridge to Cup Racing Series. With that, we're going to have to decide his fate with the series and whether or not he'll be eligible to be contesting for the bracket championship. Definitely going to have to see him work his way up the points to be fully eligible. So, with that, everyone, thanks yet again for tuning in. Hopefully you have a good week. Stay safe out there. Have a good night. And we'll see you on the next one. This is Jakester signing out.